All right, so hey everyone, welcome back to the stream. I'm Danny Xander, and today we're going to be diving into Reaktor again with another quick tip and setup. So for today, we're going to be combining modulation sources. So in Reaktor, as you may know, there's several different options. You can use the play section, the patch section, the build section of Reaktor. And today we dove into the build section when we're choosing from our main menu. And we're going to be building inside here, and we're going to be combining some modulation sources. So when you want to combine more than one modulation source in Reaktor, let me back it up and explain what a modulation source is. A modulation source is something that affects the sound of an oscillator over time. So I'm going to add in a few blocks here, and then we can show what that means. So I'm going to add in my note in. Then I'm going to add in an envelope. I'm going to connect that to the gate connection. We're also going to add in our oscillator. So a bento box oscillator would look like that. And we're going to add in our stereo levels out. And basically, from here, I'm going to add in amp, but instead of amp, I'm going to add a multiplier this time. So this multiplies the signal. It does a little math in the background and multiplies our signal. So I'm going to connect that to our oscillator and to our left and right outputs. This acts as our amp in this case, multiplying our signal. And I'm going to connect that to a ADSR envelope. And that goes into a gate connection. And this goes into the pitch. So that's our basic setup with an oscillator, an envelope to an amp, and our left and right connections. Now, to add those modulation sources, we're going to keep adding these right on the left side. So I'm going to add this one. I'm also going to add another LFO. So let's add in an LFO here. So we'll choose this rounds LFO. And we're going to call this our modulator mod ADSR. So we have a mod ADSR that's going to modulate the oscillator. The reason we're calling it mod ADSR because we're going to use it as a modulator this time to modulate our oscillation signal, which is our sound source. So you can use multiple components to modulate sound sources, and we're choosing to use the envelope here to modulate our oscillator. And this envelope is just going to give us control over our frontal output to our amp, which is this multiplier. And then we're going to combine modulation sources with another multiplier. So we're going to connect this to the gate connection. And this is going to be another mod LFO. So we have mod ADSR and a mod LFO. And now we're going to add another envelope. And this one's going to be our mod depth. So we're going to combine these two into one source. So this one and this one into one source so that they can both go into mod B, because we already have one mod ADSR using the first mod port, and we're not going to make another mod port. So we're going to combine these. And the way that we're going to combine them is we're going to use another multiplier. So this allows us, I'm going to remove those connections. This allows us to connect two modulation sources at once to our oscillator. So now we have a sound coming out. So you can see we have a basic sound. And we can see our modulation ports are both lit up, meaning that they're both active. So we can now modulate our source using our LFOs. So in port B, we have an LFO and an envelope. So we're going to combine those two, and we're going to use that in port B. So right here, we have our secondary mod source. So you can see we're controlling that secondary mod source. And the modulation speed of the LFO or direction. So let's keep going with that. And then we have this envelope, this mod depth control. And we're using that to control the ADSR attack of the sound. It starts to rise, so that's the effect we're getting. So now we're going to go to mod port 8. We're going to add some more. We're going to add some modulation depth on the mod A. And the one we're using for mod A is the mod ADSR. So we can play with this attack, decay, and release. There we have it. So we have a finished sound you can use in your productions. We're using to control the speed of the LFO. We're using the LFO. So we're controlling the speed of the LFO through this mod LFO. And we can make a range of sounds with this that rise in pitch and begin to progressively wobble as they rise in pitch. We can also tighten up our vibrato by using the envelope, which would be our pentabox ASR. So there you have it. We have a mixed modulation source, modular rack that we can use in all of our productions. Feel free to leave any comments in the comment section or any ideas, or if you want to take this and really get creative with it, feel free to do that. And peace out. I'll see you in the next session. Stay creative, and I'll see you next time.